First item on the agenda, request for bill introductions. Representative Shu.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I am introducing this on behalf of Representative Heiberger, on behalf of the Kansas Commission on Disability Concerns. It's 24RS2804, and it's regarding disability hiring preference for the state.
All right, seeing no objections, the committee will, approve the request. That's it. Yes, I'll get it right one of these days. By the time we aren't going to be accepting bill introductions, I'll get it right. So, yeah, I think this was a bill that we heard last year and we passed out last year, but it was below the line, so it was stricken from the calendar. So, it should be relatively easy. Any other bill introductions? Not seeing any. We'll go ahead and move on to the next item on the agenda. And Trent Armbrust is here from Enterprise KC to talk about cybersecurity and their program that they're doing. They're building across the state of Kansas, and they're hoping to get it into, I think, area schools. So.
Thank you, Mr.
Go ahead,
Speaker.
sir.
Members of the committee, Trent Armbrust with Enterprise KC, and if I could have the first slide, please. I'm here to talk today about Enterprise K. I'll do a quick introduction on Enterprise KC since we're a relatively unknown organization, and then talk about the cybersecurity ecosystem development work we were doing on behalf of the state of Kansas. Next slide, please. So who are we? Enterprise KC is a 501c3 nonprofit corporation. And we are a business-led, so we have individuals that have come out of business, and we are a think and do tank. So we develop strategy, but then we also stand behind that strategy through implementation. And our focus is really at enterprise development. I'll talk about enterprises in a minute, but we do that on a cluster-by-cluster basis. Next slide, please. Our purpose is pretty simple: maximize regional prosperity. And we're going to do that by accelerating enterprise growth and focusing on those high opportunity, high wage jobs through our cluster-centric approach. Next slide, please. When I talk about enterprises, I'm talking about those businesses that sell their goods or services outside of the state of Kansas, outside of our greater region, therefore importing money into our region. This is a really important concept that is that allows us to grow our economy through that importation of dollars. And therefore, that's our focus. Next slide, please. We've built a model for our cluster development efforts. You can see here it's built on 8 pillars. I'd like to call out the second and third pillars, our workforce demand and workforce supply. We really think it's important that you win the talent war, that talent is what's going to help us prosper. And so that is a key focus of ours. You can also see the enterprise growth in there. And then that last pillar, which is the data analytics. And we'll get to some of the action we're taking around data, but we feel like all of our decisions, all of our actions should be insights driven from data. Next slide, please. So now I'm going to jump into cybersecurity and the kind of the question of why cyber. I think the headlines have now answered that question. We started this work 4 years ago and started developing our strategy. So this was a bigger question when we started the work. But I think if you look at some of the opportunity that's in Kansas, one, the opportunity is exponential for the growth of cybersecurity services and talent in Kansas. 1/3 of the jobs in cybersecurity do not require a college degree. That's really important for the entry-level positions that we have across Kansas. Look this up right before I give on Saturday. 5,358 cybersecurity-related positions are open in the state of Kansas today. If you look at the broader region, we are not supplying the talent to fill those jobs. We did an asset report for both Kansas and Missouri because we look at that as a labor shed. And we are producing about 500 individuals a year out of our education and training systems to fill approximately 10,000 jobs. We're just not keeping up. We're falling behind rapidly. So that talent piece is really, really critical for our efforts. If you look at the job salaries, the average cybersecurity position in the state of Kansas is about $100,000 a year. So take $100,000 towards your 5,000 jobs. That's a economic lift for the whole region. As you know from the headlines, attacks are way up relating to cybersecurity. Spending is also way up related to cybersecurity. Therefore, we see an opportunity to grow our economy by importing more dollars, both corporate and federal investment dollars. And so when you look at the opportunity here, also you have to look at our untapped asset base, which I'll talk about next. Next slide, please. When you look at, again, you look at the broader region of both states, we're seeing a labor shed that has 9 National Security Administration Centers for Academic Excellence designated schools. 6 of those are in the state of Kansas. If you're squinting at the screen, it's Fort Hays State University, Wichita State, Butler County Community College, Kansas State University, University of Kansas, and Johnson County Community College are those 6 NSA designated schools. And if you go to our website, you can see a full academic breakdown on our website by clicking on the academic asset report there. Next slide, please. We also have great military and government assets in the region. We show a broader region here, but we look at that as not only the missions that go on in those installations, but also the talent that's available from individuals who are transitioning out of the military and out of the government. Since 2014, we've calculated on average in Kansas, 3,589 individuals transition or separate from the military each year. There's obviously tremendous emphasis in the military around cybersecurity. That's a talent base that we have to capture in the state of Kansas. So we're looking and working with groups that work on transition programs such as DoD Skill Bridge, as well as the Transition Assistance Program or the TAP program, USO, and others. Next slide, please. I'm not going to read all this to you. This is a summary of our strategy document. Strategy document is more like 70 pages long. This is just each of the strategies for as it relates to each pillar around cybersecurity. So I'm going to go into 5 projects specifically that we're developing for the state of Kansas built on these strategies. Next slide, please. So how do we get started on this project? Thankful to those who were part of the base grant program and the Spark committee to have the leadership and the view of funding a cybersecurity effort in the state of Kansas. So we received $7.5 million of a base grant through the Kansas Department of Commerce. And then we matched that with $2.5 million on internal resources. So a $10 million initiative here, and that's funding 5 discrete projects. Our goal with these projects is simply to create that long-term benefit for the state of Kansas. Individuals, so individual cyber hygiene, protect families and businesses, our infrastructure, utilities. So it's a broad-based state of Kansas ecosystem development that has a long-term benefit. Next slide, please. Our first project that we're developing, and we said data drives a lot of our decisions, our strategies, is developing a data warehouse that we call the data sphere that not only has your national and global data around cybersecurity and economic development and performances, but we are also now surveying locally. So we're trying to get that local intelligence and that national and global intelligence, put it all together and develop actionable insights that will drive future decisions as well as measure our own performance. Next slide, please. The second project is developing an innovation hub prospectus. And what this means is we're developing the business plan and some preliminary plans of developing campus or campuses in the state of Kansas where we can bring together government, academics, and private industry to innovate and commercialize at a rapid pace and do this in a secure environment. A lot of cybersecurity activity requires secure environments, and this includes SCIF facilities, because one of the market areas we've identified is the lack of SCIF facilities, which is where classified information is discussed. We don't have those available to our small businesses. That's a competitive disadvantage, and once we have it, it becomes a competitive advantage. Next slide, please. Our third project is developing a talent assessment tool. You see the great word psychometrically in there. We are doing that in partnership with academicians who are helping us with the psychometric validation of the tool. And it's saying not only is someone well skilled in cybersecurity, but do they have the potential? Are they well suited for the roles? And it doesn't eliminate you from cybersecurity, but it helps guide individuals into what specific role within the cybersecurity careers are you best suited for, best potentialed for. And so this will be an app that individuals can take, and it just gives you that assessment of where you should focus in cybersecurity. Next slide, please. Related to that, in our fourth project is the talent exchange platform. And so we will tie the talent assessment tool with the talent exchange. And this is not just another job board. This is going to be a high-end user experience that ties together your certificates, digital wallets, mentoring, coaching, your talent assessment, as well as open jobs. And so this is a place where the collisions are going to happen between talent demand and the talent that's looking for careers in cybersecurity. Next slide, please. The last project I want to speak to you about, and I'll spend a little more time on this one, is the Cyber Range. Cyber Range, think of firing range. This is where you practice live fire exercises in cybersecurity. So it's we spin up virtual machines, and it's where individuals can go through scenarios, cybersecurity scenarios, and actually get behind a keyboard and practice their cybersecurity skills and develop those cybersecurity skills. Our Cyber Range is also going to have an ability to conduct research, develop new tools in cybersecurity, and we're going to have those secure sandboxes where you can do that in this range. And the other key aspect of the range that we're building is the performance aspect. If you look at a lot of commercially available ranges, they're slow and limited. We are building, and I'll say this proudly, what we think is the best cyber range in the United States for the state of Kansas. That means our performance is going to be second to none. Part of the way we're doing that also is we are building our own network of computers around the state. And so that's what's on the right where you see the nodes and vertices and the edges. We are actually placing machines, nodes, think of them little servers, all across the state of Kansas. And what that means is your performance, your experience on the cyber range will not vary across the state of Kansas. It will spin up fast, and this network also gives us great compute and storage capability in a highly secure environment. And so that is part of our efforts. The other part that building our own network does, it lowers our operating costs going forward because cloud services are very expensive. So we're building our own network that gives us the cloud capabilities across the state of Kansas. Next slide, please. This slide's just a little bit more on the content. We're going to, when we launch the range later this spring, we're going to have 75 scenarios and courses available right away. We're going to have content for all levels. So entry level, never done anything related to cybersecurity before, to more advanced scenarios. So those who have been cybersecurity practitioners can now elevate. We're also going to have some competency capabilities in this. We're going to have a digital wallet in this so that as you perform through scenarios, it goes into a digital wallet. And then when an employer asks about your experiences on the range, it's not you saying it. There's a third-party digital wallet validation of what your practice efforts were. And we're mapping all this to the NICE framework. And what does the NICE framework mean? That is the national framework of roles and skills in cybersecurity. We're mapping it to that because that's where all the employers map to, are these different roles and careers. So we're mapping your experiences in the range to the different careers in the NICE framework. Next slide, please. Now, our goals with the cyber range, we're building this remarkable tool. We would like to offer the range free K through 12 and for higher education students. Why? You just heard we need more people interested in cybersecurity. And as we have developed cybersecurity, as we've learned about cybersecurity, it's on all of us to have good cyber hygiene for the security of our institutions as well as our personal lives. Reduced rate for transitioning military. Again, we want to encourage transitioning military to not only go into cybersecurity, but then find jobs in the state of Kansas. And then we'll charge full rate for corporate and academic research. So corporate users, whatever corporation, they would pay for their cybersecurity teams to then use the range, as well as the academic research they'll write into the grants. So we're currently seeking partnerships, sponsors to help us offset the cost of the range so that we can offer it free going forward to, again, higher education and K through 12. Next slide, please. A few other things we're doing, just for your information on how we're building out the ecosystem. On the left, that's the brochure we did. We held a high school cybersecurity challenge, or a Capture the Flag event. We did 2 of those close to our office so we could work out the kinks. This year, through our cyber range, we're going to start hosting Capture the Flag events across the state of Kansas for high school teams to compete in. On the right, you see the Cyber Start America. We're promoting that program. That's a national program that's free. Our teachers in our schools, they don't have time to add cybersecurity or the trainings. And so this allows students to develop their cybersecurity skills, not only with our range, but they can go to Cyber Start America and say, what is cybersecurity? Is this something I'm interested in? So it's a good place to get started for high schoolers. Next slide, please. A program we're really excited about, we partnered with Grow with Google, so that's on the left. And that is, we're offering 500 free scholarships to individuals in Kansas, adults and students. And Grow with Google is a very entry-level certificate in cybersecurity. And then with some extra training in the range, you will be able to sit for one of the major industry recognized credentials. That's the CompTIA Sec Plus, or Security Plus. And so we have started, and I'll show you some stats on the Grow with Google. We have also partnered on the right side of the screen with the Innovation Center in Northwest Kansas, a Hansen Foundation organization. And we have partnered with them to offer this, not only the Google scholarships, but also have with our range. And so you can see that that's a screenshot of their website showing our partnership. We're very excited about that. Maria Dahlquist is at the bottom of the slide. That's who's heading that program for them. She just completed the Grow with Google scholarship herself. And so we're really excited that we have someone with the experience and a boot on the ground in Northwest Kansas. Next slide, please. Grow with Google to this date, again, this is fairly new launch, but we've had 53 individuals complete 668 hours of training. And then at the bottom of the screen, you can see some of the courses that individuals are choosing to take courses in through Grow with Google. Next slide, please. The map you're seeing there is our online presence. What I want you to take away from this is not only are we growing our presence in Kansas, but our activity is starting to generate interest around the United States. And so this is our LinkedIn and website traffic is what we're mapping out here. And so we're really excited about that because, again, we're trying to draw talent and opportunity dollars into the state of Kansas. And then on the right side of the screen, to build out our ecosystem, we're also engaging students at our higher education institutions. We're starting this fairly slowly, learning as we go. But right now we have student ambassadors at Fort Hays State, Kansas State University, University of Kansas, Manhattan Area Technical College, and Wichita State University. And we've had great successes with this. We want to see this program grow because those are the individuals on the ground who are helping promote cybersecurity, not only at their institutions, but helping us understand what's going on at those institutions so we have a cohesive ecosystem. Next slide, please. So what are we expecting for outcomes from all this? Clearly, we want to see an enrollment in cyber training programs, in cyber education. And then we want to see more real-world learning experiences. That's where the cyber range comes in. Because, it's pretty scary to train someone for 2 years in a school and get a certificate and then dump them onto your network and say, protect me. So that real-world experience is really critical. And then that will lead to number 3, a decrease in the number of open cybersecurity jobs. And that will make us more secure across the state. We want to reduce that brain drain, especially for military and college educated, by growing opportunities in Kansas, growing those jobs here in cybersecurity. And then we want to accelerate enterprise growth. Next slide, please. So my call to action, this is where I need some help. This is where we all need to work together on this. We need more node hosts. As we build the cyber range out, we need more and more compute power. So we're looking to place 200 more nodes across the state of Kansas. And so, we're looking for partners in local communities to help us host those nodes. And it can be for-profit education institutions, different businesses. We even have some people who have put them in their houses. Identify cybersecurity champions in your neighborhood and have them get a hold of me. We want to meet individuals who want to champion cybersecurity across the state of Kansas, and how do we help them? How do we all work together to promote cybersecurity? Promote Cyber Start America and the Cyber Patriot program. I haven't talked about Cyber Patriot yet, but Cyber Patriot is where you have high school teams competing, representing their high school in regional and national competitions. We had a team from Kansas City and Kansas side that finished in the top 10 last year. Really excited about some of the cyber talent we have in Kansas. Promote the Grow with Google certificates, help people get entry-level certificate in the cybersecurity. Capture the flag events, I already talked about that. So as those roll out, we want to make sure everyone's aware and that every community is sending a team to a capture a flag event. And then lastly, the cyber range. We want as many people using the cyber range as possible because it's just going to benefit everyone, increase our skill levels, increase our cyber hygiene. Next slide, please. So if you want to get a hold of me, the QR code on the left is to my digital contact card, and that's my cell phone number and email. And then the QR code on the right is the website access. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
A lot of information there. Thank you very much, sir. Pretty incredible program. A lot better than even when we talked about it the other day when we set this meeting up. So I'm glad that we were able to do this. Any questions? Representative Poskin.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Okay. Welcome to committee, and thank you for being a great representative of House District 20, where your corporate headquarters are. Are you partnering with like Blue Valley CAPS and the Shawnee Mission Real World Learning? Mm-hmm. Fabulous.
Matter of fact, we just had a meeting with Blue Valley CAPS the other day and are going to have some new initiatives with them.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you for sharing this.
Thank you.
Representative Dodson.
Thanks, Mr. Chair. Thanks for coming, Trent. Couple of questions, if I can. When you talk about the nodes, my assumption is that you'll have software and then experts sitting in those nodes as fighters, and then down inside companies, you will also have people who are ready to do that. So if you look at this kind of holistically, is it like 75% will be with companies and corporations, and then 25 at the nodes?
Representative Dotson, it can be any of the above hosting nodes. We don't have a particular setup. So in your district, MATC is a node host. And then we also have a node sitting in Wamego, which is just outside your district. So yeah, it's both in businesses, academic institutions, and then also personal homes. And then to host a node, it's simply, you need to have a place to put the machine. You need to have a connection to your internet, and you need to have a 110 outlet you can plug it into. Everything else is preloaded on it. And once you plug it in, we get a signal, it spins up, and it's part of the network. That's the setup requirements.
The other one is, we've had quite a problem trying to link the National Security Agency with corporations. And, I would argue that NSA probably has the best cybersecurity fighters in the world. Does this obviate that, or will there be coordination with them for software and techniques and so on in order to, say, stave off some of the things we see from the gray net, China, etc.?
Yeah, we're actually working in partner with NSA. We've been in contact with them. We've also been in contact with different groups in DoD, and we are forming those partnerships right now. And we're actually about to sign an agreement with one of the units in DoD for some, not only the talent aspect, but then also some cooperation on some of our other initiatives.
The last one has to do with, in NSA or in DoD, we've got security clearance issues. That is, trying to make sure that not only do we have the people, we have them trained, but we have security clearances for them. So is there some aspect of the training which will reward a security clearance, for example?
The training that we're providing and through the cyber range is only on the skill side. We do recognize the limitations of our workforce without security clearance, and that is, if you look at the Kansas City Tech Council, that is the #1 skill that's listed in the report on every month. And so we have partnered with a variety of institutions to start saying, how do we develop more cleared talent, which is also why the military is such a big target for us. And again, we go back to that secure campus prospectus, and that's in that classified environment and that controlled unclassified environment. Those different lines in the sand on security determine opportunity. And so, yes, we are addressing the classified workforce.
Thanks very much. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Representative Penn.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for being here today. A very intriguing presentation. I'll talk with you more offline about it. On one of your first slides, I think you said that you had at the bottom one of your 8 pillars, big data and analytics. Is that correct?
Yes.
When you're talking about workforce, there's a shortage of data analysts or data scientists in order to actually execute those types of duties. I would just like for you to speak a little bit. How are you finding that talent? Are you pushing it through software tools? Is it heavy on the tech, or is it heavy on the personnel? What needs to be done in that space? Are we finding those data scientists here in Kansas? What are we looking at?
Yeah, great question, and you do hit a really big point. We not only do we need more cybersecurity talent, we need more data talent overall. Our approach is we're developing a software-driven data approach where we're really combining lots of different data sets, and then we're also surveying enterprises or companies ourselves and bringing that data in, assimilating that data, but it's very software-driven, and so we don't have a big data workforce because it's really, really hard to get. Thank you.
Representative Blue.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm looking at slide 6 when it says why cyber, why here, and you have over 5,300 jobs open in Kansas. My question is, are those jobs, are they virtual jobs? Are they all over the state of Kansas? Are they pretty much at a location and brick and mortar?
Yeah, some of those jobs would be virtual, but they are across the state. So you think about utilities, public utilities, you think about local government units, educational institutions, banks. I mean, it's broad. There isn't like a concentration in one location across in the state.
That was my question, is this heavily in the Kansas City, Johnson County area, or if it's everywhere? So no. Thank you very much for that.
Any other questions? I've got a few. AI. Mm-hmm. So I had a meeting not too long ago, and it seems like something that stuck with me was that since the advent of computers, there's been something like 5 million viruses created. And with AI and how fast it works, there could be that many more in less than a year. So how does AI fit into all of this stuff? And are these jobs still going to be there, or is AI going to kind of take over that world?
I'm going to give a general answer to help address that. AI is a tool that's being used. We had a briefing from the FBI about some of this, and they were like, AI is going to increase the breadth and depth and vectors that are used for attacks in cybersecurity, but AI is also a tool to defend in cybersecurity. And so, when you read a lot of the literature, they're not expecting a decrease in the demand of the workforce. It's just that workforce is going to have to be able to use AI tools in addition to other cyber tools to take on the job. But, you think about AI, it's 24/7, 365, and it's more complex than it's ever been. And so how do we use AI to help screen those attacks? But we're still going to need people who are managing networks, who are part of the defense once AI identifies a threat.
Okay, and with a workforce of 5,300, is it growing, or I guess that's the current need, but is that growing exponentially, or is that what we can expect going forward?
Yeah, when you look at the national data, which is the best I've seen on this, and you look at where the job growth is in the next 10 years, data analysts and cybersecurity analysts are in the top 10 for fastest growing jobs. So yes, we expect there to be an increase in the number of positions related to cybersecurity.
So then we got to fill the funnel quickly so that we can start getting people through the process. And one of the things you want to do is try to make this a free service for all the high schools. Would that be like like a class that you would offer in all the high schools, or is for like club type things, or these other items that you?
Our approach right now is to find ways to not be directly in the classroom, realizing the changes, the amount of effort it takes, excuse me, to change curriculum and train teachers. So our approach is saying we have an immediate need, and so we're outside the classroom, or in club activities to promote cybersecurity careers. And so that's been our approach, is to how fast can we start to influence the labor market through our students and through those who are changing jobs and transitioning.
And so your idea is to provide it for free as much as you can, and then charge businesses to use it to train their employees.
Yes, and so again, our hope is to offer it for free, so as many people take advantage of the cyber range as possible, so that they have that ability to have a high quality training experience in Kansas.
What does it cost for a business if they wanted to?
It's based on seat licenses, and so if you look at or K through 12 as an example, we've studied other states that have had ranges for over decades. Virginia, Ohio, Georgia, those are 3 great examples of statewide cyber ranges. You're looking at about $20 a month per pupil that's actually on the range. And so when we back that into Kansas numbers based on our population and things like that, you're looking at, we're said about 7,000 K through 12 students a year would be active on the range at $20 a month. That number grows pretty quick into the million, over $1 million a year. So that's where, part of our business model now is how do we want to offer it for free. That's really a goal, but we have to also cover our operating costs of the range, which approach $2 million a year once we're fully operating. Because we have to have staff to develop new curriculum. We have a cyber range manager. We have the technical managers on the range. We also have the enrollment side. So we have to fully staff this as well as pay for the software continued development.
So what's demand like in the schools? Are you being well received? Or sometimes we offer programs to the schools and they take it. Most of the time they kind of push back because they want to do their own thing. But so what's your experience been?
Yeah, I was able to present this at an educator conference in Wichita last fall. The response was, the excitement was through the roof, because again, teachers are looking for tools that they can offer their students, both outside of school. We're also, when you look at some of the competition teams that we're developing, like Cyber Patriot and all that, they want to be able to practice on a range and have that capability. So again, a lot of this is outside the classroom talent development. But yes, we want to offer it K through 12. We want people to get that basic cyber training, cyber hygiene, while they're still a student.
Well, sounds like something that most of us could get behind anyway. So any other questions? All right, seeing none. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you very much.
And anybody that's on the committee that has a school district think can benefit from this, have them give them a call and get them out there. I'd like to get some feedback from some of the schools too. Okay, we're going to move on to the next item. We're going to attempt to do something a little different here today. We have HB 2611 that we introduced this year. We haven't had a hearing on it, but we're going to attempt to just go ahead and pass it because this was actually a bill that we passed last year, and it passed the floor 120 something to 9, 116 to 9 or something like that. It was went to the Senate and it became a daycare bill and got vetoed. So it's no longer there, and this is something the Department of Commerce needs. I think you'll be refreshed when we go through the bill review, and if you want to have a hearing on it, you want to spend some time, we can, but I figured to try to save some time, we'll go ahead and just try to pass it out unless we have objection. So go ahead, we'll get a brief review of the bill. Revisor Reimer.
Thank you, Chairman, members of the committee. So, yes, indeed, 2611 last year was 2023, or HB 2344. We had a hearing on February 14th last year. And this bill does the same things that the bill that the Department of Commerce wanted the bill last year to do. The statutory base has changed a little bit because there were some technical changes that were made last year in 2023 House Bill 2532 to take out some references to wildlife parks and tourism, because that agency changed to wildlife and parks. And last year they changed the committees from where the House representatives on the Tourism Council come from to agricultural and natural resources from a committee on tourism. And so the text of the bill is just a little bit different, but that's because of those statutory changes, technical changes in between. So what the bill does is basically two things that were requested by the Department of Commerce. One is that it makes some changes to the council on travel and tourism. It adds 3 positions, a member appointed by the National Independent Venue Association. That member needs to be a Kansas resident. The member from the Kansas Museums Association and the Kansas Sampler Foundation. So the membership becomes 20 instead of 17. And then as I noted, the representatives from the House are changed. Instead of the Agricultural and Natural Resources Committee, they're going to come from this committee. The chairperson, vice chairperson, ranking minority member. The other thing the bill does is make some changes to the department's attraction development grant program. So currently, under current law, the allocation of funds from that program by the Department of Commerce has to be 50%, or rather 75% to public entities and only 25% to private. That's changed, so it's an even split, 50-50 between public and private entities. And then it also removes a limitation that no more than 20% of monies granted to an entity are to be granted to the same entity. So that restriction is removed. So those two changes to that grant program. And that is what the bill does.
Any questions on what the bill does? Okay, I'm not seeing any. Rachel, did you want to make a comment on this? I don't know. Okay, perfect. All right, then. Any discussion on the bill? I'd entertain a motion to pass the bill favorably. Representative Williams?
I move that we pass House Bill 2611 favorably for passage.
Seconded by Representative Probst. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All against say no. Motion passes. Good job, everybody. All right, so reminder, tomorrow we have a meeting in here at 1:30 and we're hearing the real estate bill. And then Thursday we're having a meeting in here, but it is at noon and it's with the Senate and it's to review the workers' compensation bill that everyone is agreeing to. So that's it.